A lot of people talk about different ways to sell on Amazon to make money. One of those is wholesale. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what wholesale is, maybe when it might be good, or maybe when it's something that might not be as good as it sounds. Watch the end of this video, check it out. Here we go. So when it comes to selling on an online marketplace like Amazon, there's really just two primary ways of selling. And it's either selling your own product or selling somebody else's product. Now we can break those down further, especially the selling somebody else's product. We can talk about arbitrage and online arbitrage and retail arbitrage and wholesale. And I want to talk specifically about wholesale now. When we're selling a product on a marketplace, obviously there's a lot of research that goes into, what people want, how much competition there is. Do we need to create a strong brand presence? And fortunately, there's a lot of products that already have a strong brand presence. There are so many products out there that people are looking for every single day. Oftentimes, it'd be really hard for me to go out and create my own product to compete with those major brands. Or maybe it'd be just a lot more work and a lot more effort to go out and find the suppliers and the manufacturers and to test and just do all these things that take a lot of work. When I first started selling on Amazon, it was through the wholesale model. Basically, what this means is we buy products directly from a manufacturer and then we resell it on Amazon, okay? Now listen to what I just said. Wholesale is essentially buying directly from a manufacturer, maybe an authorized distributor, and then selling on Amazon. This is very different than like arbitrage. Where arbitrage, you might be buying onesies or twosies or a couple at a time, and it's not like a consistent supply chain. Wholesale has an advantage of being typically a very, very solid supply chain. So one of the first things I started selling wholesale was Fleet Guard oil and fuel filters. All right. This is for anything from small Dodge trucks to massive equipment. Fleet Guard was the brand. People want Fleet Guard brand. Could I have gone out and designed and engineered and created my own private label filters? Sure. But people wanted that Fleet Guard name. And fortunately, there's so many people looking for that Fleet Guard name and those Fleet Guard part numbers that all I had to do was get a consistent supply chain and post those things on the marketplace like Amazon at a competitive enough price that people would actually buy it from me. So there are some huge advantages to wholesale. Some of the problems with wholesale are other people can get those products too. And you can't always stop people from selling on your listing, right? If me and 4 other people are all selling Fleet Guard filters and they're all legitimate, we're all competing on the same price. That's one thing you have to consider, is that you might not be the only one with that supply chain. The second thing you have to consider is who creates the listing on Amazon. I can't tell you how many products that I've sold wholesale or other people that I know have sold wholesale where they went to list it on the marketplace and there was already a listing there and the listing sucked. Maybe the listing wasn't converting well. Maybe it wasn't ranking well. Maybe it had horrible images or descriptions or bullet points or any of those things that it takes to create a good listing. You cannot create a new listing for the same product on Amazon. It's called duplicating an ASIN. You cannot do it. So sometimes if you're a wholesale seller, you're stuck selling on a really crappy listing. Now there's things you can do. You can go in and try to add attributes to the listing or try to create cases to have Amazon update the listing to be more authentic and more accurate to the actual product and to the actual brand. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it can be tough. So you are kind of stuck with that shell of a listing. Now, if you can be the first one to put the listing up, you get control of it when you put it up. That's kind of nice. You have a few advantages there. Not saying other people can't change it, but it gives you first access to set the listing up how you want to. So those are a couple things that are scary about wholesale. Let me tell you another one. It's that you don't know if your supply chain is going to be solid or not. Let me explain what that means. When I was selling the Fleet Guard filters, Fleet Guard did not know I was selling them on Amazon. They didn't. If they knew I was selling them on Amazon, they probably would have cut me off. The reason for that is they have local distribution channels and regional distribution channels. And the dealers and the parts counter guys didn't like the fact that I was selling these things on Amazon. Didn't like it at all. So at any given time, I could have been cut off from my supply. Now, of all the wholesale products and brands that I sold, which were a lot of them at one time, I was always wondering, when am I going to get email where I can't reorder? So that's another problem with wholesale. So more competition, people can compete with you. 2, you might not have the listing control. And 3, you don't always have complete control of that supply chain. It can get cut off. Now, let me tell you when wholesale works really well. The first one is when you can get exclusive distribution access for a particular marketplace with one brand. If I could have gone to Fleet Guard and said, hey, I want to be your Amazon guy, I'll stick with map pricing. I'll take great care of the listings. I'll invest in PPC costs. It's going to be awesome. Can I have access to this? If they would give that to me, and if they would try to enforce keeping other sellers off the listing, that would be amazing. And fortunately, there's a lot of brands that are looking for someone to partner with them, right? There's so many brands out there that are brick and mortar brands, or they're traditional like B2B brands, and they just don't know how to sell online. Maybe they don't have the bandwidth, or they don't have the appetite to do it. And if you can find these brands, go to them and say, hey, I want to be your Amazon, seller. I want to do this well. Here's my criteria. Here's my resume. I'm going to do a great job at this. A lot of times they'll say, sure, you can have it. Now, again, at any time that deal could change. Maybe they'll cut you off. Maybe they'll find someone else who they want to sell instead. But generally, once you have a good relationship with them, if you're selling, you're making money and they're making money, it's not going to upset the apple cart. It's a little bit hard to find those decent brands that haven't already had someone reach out to them. But especially when you start getting down into a niche market, we're starting to find those. There's a lot in different categories that I dabble in where we go to trade shows and we find these wholesalers that don't know anything about Amazon. They've never had anybody approach them. And maybe it's a small catalog now, right? Like maybe you don't see huge potential immediately, but maybe you can build that potential with them. Maybe you see, hey, there's something here with this product. It's a trending niche. They've got a great product, just nobody knows about it. Let's get to some online presence. Let's get some online branding, and we can take this brand and this product list and these listings very, very far. That's really, really great way of doing it. Now, there are a lot of people that have built massive, massive businesses in wholesale. Let me kind of level set some expectations here and also say this. Oftentimes, the wholesale model is very low margins, okay? So we've talked about some problems. We've talked about some nice ways of doing wholesale, some good things, but let me kind of end off with this one last point. A lot of times the margins are very low, and the reason for that is the reseller, you don't always get to determine your cost, right? The brand owner is marking it up, then selling it to you. Then you have to mark it up and sell it through a marketplace, and you've got FBA fees and you've got additional costs. So a lot of times the margins are very, very slim. Now, sometimes you can make that up with volume and still make an incredible amount of money, but don't necessarily buy into the hype without looking at things with a fine-tooth comb. There are a lot of people out there that are claiming, hey, wholesale is the way to sell on Amazon. It's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing. And they show you these great sales volume numbers, overall gross revenue numbers. Doesn't mean a thing. If I sell $1 million on Amazon, but it cost me $999,000 in product and inventory and costs, and I make $1,000, who cares, right? So just keep in mind that there's a lot of hype about wholesale because you can hit some really high revenue numbers really, really fast. Doesn't always mean it's profitable. So I hope this kind of clears up exactly what wholesale is. It's essentially reselling, but with direct access to a manufacturer, which means you can get larger quantities. Sometimes you can get cheaper prices, and generally you can get more consistent supply as opposed to like arbitrage. If you have any other questions about wholesale, obviously I could go on for 10 hours and talk about it, but if you have any just high level questions about wholesale, make sure to drop it below in the comment section. We do read those comments. We have a whole team that monitors that stuff. We'll get you answers. Also, if you have any other suggestions or requests for Amazon Basics videos, make sure to drop those in the comments too, and we can load those up. As always, make sure you go to privatelabellegion.com. Make sure you go to Facebook and join the Private Label Legion free Facebook group to be part of a really cool community. We don't have a ton of members because we like to kick the crap out and keep really high engagement rate, but there's some incredible resources in there. If you want to get involved in a mastermind type community, the one that I run with my partner Norm Ferrara, Centurion League, you can check it out at thecenturionleague.com. Make sure to smash that thumbs up button. Thanks guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one.